Welcome to Becoming Limitless. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to optimize their life for freedom. I'm going to teach you how to upgrade your health, money, and mindset so you can have more energy, time freedom, and financial independence. I'm your host, Tanessa Shears. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Becoming Limitless podcast. I am so excited for this episode today because it is a financial independence update. If you have been a longtime listener of the podcast, first of all, thank you. But our family in June of 2022, on the birth of our second baby, we actually became what's called financially independent. And what that means is we no longer need to rely on work for income. And the cool thing about that makes work entirely optional. And so ever since, I think it's been like April of maybe 2 years ago, I've been doing updates on the podcast, just sharing with you what we're learning and what's new and what's been going on in our life and everything like that. So I will make sure to link below all of the episodes that I've done on financial freedom and independence and everything like that. It's kind of what I've called the Freedom Series. And at this point, I think we've got to be like 8 or 9 episodes in. I actually did a blog on my For Fun blog, The Freedom Diaries, outlining all of them and links to all of them. So I'll make sure to link that below if you want to. But if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, I'm pretty sure episode 87 is the very first one where I'm like, hey, let's talk about something else besides health today. And that episode went over so well. And these episodes get such great feedback. And that's why I'm so excited, because it has been a while. I think like early July was the last time I did a financial independence update. And now we're all the way here. It's December of 2024 when we're doing this episode right now. And so I'm excited to give you a bit of an update, because the last time we talked, I just got news that our landlord listed our house for sale. And then literally right after I recorded the episode, got the notice that, hey, we sold, you have 60 days to be out of your house. And that was the last update, and everything was kind of up in the air. So I want to give you updates on not only what has happened since we've put our life into a storage locker, but what's been going on, what it's like living out of a suitcase, what we're doing with our investments right now, and what has changed in my business as a result of this whole financial independence journey that we're on. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And as I always say, with anything financial I put out, none of this is advice. I don't recommend. My way is not the right way. It's just one way. Use it as inspiration, but of course, go and do all your own research on everything I talk about. Nothing is without its risks, and we've definitely had our own failures along the way. But this episode is just really meant to inspire you. It's coming from a place where I know that the reason we are on this journey is because leaders that went ahead of us were so transparent in their journey and their numbers, and it made me really realize what was possible. And so my goal is to be able to be that, maybe for you, to be transparent, for you to be like, oh yeah, like I don't want to hide anything, right? Even the failures, the things that are going well. And I'm always an open book. So should you want to come chat with me about this over on Instagram, you are welcome to do that, right? And before we get into this update, one thing, if you are listening to this kind of when it comes out, which should be like mid-December 2024, if you have always wanted freedom for yourself, and by freedom, I mean like you get to work where you want, if you want, when you want, you get to spend your time with who you want. If the whole idea of freedom just lights you up from the inside, but right now you're either feeling trapped in your business, or you don't know how to get there, or this is new for you, or this is scary, I have something to share with you. So my husband Flynn and I, because we no longer work more than a couple hours a week right now. And one of the things that we have noticed is that as you step into this world of investing in freedom and finance and travel, like the people that you have to relate to, that circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so Flynn and I brought together some of the brightest minds and friends that we know and created a completely free community. And right now we're calling it the Chasing Freedom Community. And it is for anyone who wants freedom in their life. You can be working a 9 to 5. You can be in business. You can have freedom already, or you could be just at the beginning point on your road. And this is open to everyone, this community, and it has been awesome. We actually have one group call that we do every month together, kind of thinking it as a little bit of a workshop with, some masterminding. And we have a Slack community, which we all get to brainstorm in. It's really been great so far. We opened it just about 2 weeks ago now and had our first live group call. And it was so awesome. I learned stuff. Everyone in there, we got to share our story on the first call, and we have that replay up in the group. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is not only do I want to extend the invitation for you to join this group, but I want to let you know that on December 29th at 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern time, we are going to be hosting, and by we, I mean my husband and I, we're hosting a free workshop getting ready for the new year. And what we're centering this whole conversation on in this call is about building your financial freedom engine, right? Because there's so many ways to get to financial freedom. There's different ways to invest. There's different ways to do business. There's different ways to leverage your assets you have, or if you don't have assets, what you need to do to take the next steps, right? And so for us, our engine has been through passive income investing, meaning we get a supplement to our income every month, which basically now takes care of all of our expenses. That is our engine. And so what we want to do is we want to bring the group together and do a workshop style where we look 5 years into the future, 10 years into the future. What does your life look like? What do you want it to look like? What do you need to do to get there? So it's not a traditional New Year's resolution goal setting workshop. I'm talking about building the engine that is going to create freedom for your life. And Flynn and I are going to be doing it too, because it's kind of interesting. We actually reached our entire end vision and we were like, I guess we need a new vision, because we reached it a lot faster than we thought. So we're going to be going through this and doing this too, and creating our new vision and sharing. And we are fully transparent in that community with numbers and spreadsheets and all the kinds of things. So we'd love to have you join. So if this is something you are interested in, it's really simple. It's not fancy. There's no funnels or landing pages or anything like that. You just have to go to my Instagram, and it's at Tanessa Shears, TANESSASHEARS. Go there on Instagram. You're going to send me a DM. Tell me you want into the community with your email. It's a Slack community. I'm literally just going to add you onto Slack. That's as complicated as it gets. So if you don't have Instagram, I guess you could send me an email at Tanessa@TanessaShears.com and just tell me, hey, I want into your Slack community, because we're kicking off December 29th, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern time. We're going to jam out for like 90 minutes to 2 hours workshop right before the New Year's, get everything set up for the New Year's. So I really hope you join us. But if you don't, let's get into this episode. All right. Okay. So what a crazy summer we had. Oh my gosh. Like, planning this move was something that, like, I don't know, I felt a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, like I had my summer robbed, because I was like, it's June, I'm getting ready, July, August, the best time of year in Vancouver. But to find out we pretty much had to like make plans for our life and like get everything in a storage locker. We had to downsize and put stuff on Facebook Marketplace and deal with Facebook Marketplace people not showing up and all of the kind of things. As we sold off half of our stuff. We ended up actually selling half of our stuff, and we put the rest of it into a storage locker. And we ended up going with a 10-foot by 12-foot storage locker, which thank goodness it all fit. It's so interesting. Flynn and I have been back to the storage locker obviously multiple times since we created or put everything in the locker. And I thought we were super minimalist by fitting into a 10 by 12 foot storage locker. And I'm like, this is just the stuff we love. But it's so interesting, when we came back at the beginning of October, we threw up the roll door on the locker. And I was like, why do we have so much crap? Like, why did I keep this fake plant? Why did I keep all of these baskets? Why did I keep so many hangers? Why did I keep 9 lamps? Like, I'm not even joking you. This type of stuff we're looking at. And I mean, this was the stuff that I was like, this is the good stuff. And so we're like, man, oh, there's just so much junk in here. And we know that like if and when we ever settle down one day, like we'll go get some new stuff, right? We don't need all of this stuff. Think about this. We kept the baby crib. Our baby is now 2.5 years old and doesn't sleep in a crib anymore. Why did we keep it? I don't know. A treadmill. Why did I keep that? They're a dime a dozen on Marketplace. I don't know. So this is what we're going to be doing when we come back in the spring. Our goal is to downsize our locker and only keep the actual stuff that we will need, like seasonal clothing and that kind of stuff. But my goodness, what a move. having to get everything into that locker. And I gotta tell you, moving day was so fun though. Like it was such a sadness leaving our home that I raised my babies in, but at the same time, like I was really ready to step out of that. But gosh, that summer was hard. Like there was this last summer and fall have been like season after season after thing of challenges. Just to name a couple, like obviously moving is one of the most stressful events you can go through in your life. And not only that, moving, but deciding to sell half your stuff, putting in a locker. We did make a very heartbreaking decision to rehome our cat. So this was for two reasons. Number one is I had this cat before I even met my husband. And so Paisley and I were buds for the longest time. And then when Flynn came, she was like, I'm not sure about him, but I'll put up with him. But when the kids came, like she's getting older, you could just tell that the noise that a 2 and a 4-year-old caused just like were grating on her. And she was, starting to lash out and she was aggressive and she wasn't very friendly anymore. And like only I was the one who could get near her. And then when we made the decision, hey, we're not actually going to get another rental home. We're just going to go to Airbnb. We knew that this was no life for a cat. And so as much as we loved her, and there were the tears, the amount of tears in making a post to find her a new home and interviewing different candidates and everything like that, like so many tears. If you've ever lost an animal or had to rehome an animal, it is the worst feeling. The guilt that you experience is wild. Like, it's just like, I should have done better. I could have known better. But the great thing is she is in a home that was actually 10 minutes from our old home. And it was a wonderful girl. It was just her and she has her own place, and Paisley is thriving. She sends us photos and videos every now and then. And Paisley is like laying on her back, rolling around, chasing toys. Like she's the cat I knew before I had kids. And it's really cool. I'm just very glad she found a good home, but it was a really, really sad milestone to have to go through, right? Then after everything went into the locker, we then, of course, went on vacation. And during this entire summer, the worst thing is I was dealing with recurrent migraines and neck pain. I was in physiotherapy all the time for those. So literally we packed up our locker, and the next day we go on a month trip that we had planned before. Like the timing couldn't have worked out better. We were asked to leave the home by August 31st. September 1st, we went to Vancouver Island. We actually spent the entire month in a little seaside town called Qualicum. Beautiful little town, tons of outdoor hiking, beaches, all of that kind of stuff. Really quiet, right? Gorgeous. So we spent all of September 1st there. We came back October 1st. I had a scheduled surgery, which I will talk about on another episode, but that was something I had to recover from some 6 weeks. And in that process of recovery, I ended up with blood clots in both legs. I'm okay. Don't worry. Again, I'll talk about that on a different episode, but sold a car, all of this stuff going on. Insane 3 to 4 months that we had. And then on top of it, Flynn and I think we're insane. We decided to pay $12,000 to work with a mentor and a coach to help us with something very specific in investments that we were trying to learn. And we are on the other side of all of that now. And so I want to share with you some of the big lessons along the way that have been so impactful and moved us forward. I say 2024 has been the most massive year of change for us and everything that has been going on. And I'm ready to share some lessons on it because I feel like the chaos has finally subsided. All right. So big lesson. Oh, and of course, if you haven't subscribed, by the way, if you don't even know this, I write a blog. This is something else I've done as a hobby because I have time now and I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? I love to write. I've been writing a free blog. It's called The Freedom Diaries, and it's documenting how my husband and I, how we reached financial independence by 33 and now are going to be traveling half the year part-time with our very small kids. I document everything from the numbers to the travel to the mindset behind it. I talk about crypto. I talk about regular investments. I'm very transparent on that blog. You are welcome to sign up for it, or you can just read it. It's up to you, but it's at substack.com/Tanessa Shears. Oh, no, it's not. Ignore that. It's TanessaShears.substack.com. I'll leave a link in the description anyways. Definitely go and check it out. It's something I write from the heart. I try to release at least one a week. And it's been great because it's documenting the journey. So I'm able to look back as well and see how much growth we've gone through. But let's go to the big lessons. Okay, big lesson number 1 is a lot of the things that I have learned from now living out of a suitcase. Yes, not even a suitcase, half a suitcase, because I'm sharing the other half with my 4-year-old and my husband, and my other daughter share the second suitcase. So we are 2 suitcases now we've been living out of for 3.5 months, basically since August 31st. And there have been so many aha moments on what it really means to live with less. I can't tell you how much I have realized the clothing pieces that I really love, the makeup that I actually love to wear, the things I love on my night table that are minimalist, the bathing suit that I love to have instead of having all of them with me all the time. You know what I mean? There's so many things that you really start understanding about yourself and how happiness is created when you have less, right? And the crazy thing is, it's not like we had to throw all this out to experience it. I mean, it's in a storage locker. It's a 20-minute drive away. But just being able to be so light, to be able to pack up and take your whole life and move in under like an hour. Everything could be packed up. Like, it is a very cool experience. And I mean, realistically, I noticed I have my favorite 6 to 8 sweaters. I have my favorite 3 pairs of pants. I have my favorite workout shorts. I have my favorite sports bras, right? And it's shone such a light on consumerism in general. Like when we go out to the mall or shopping, we ask a different question now. It's not, do I want it or do I need it? It's, do I want to carry this with me everywhere? Is this something that is worth the physical space it will occupy, when right now everything that we carry has to have enough value to make it worthwhile to carry around in a suitcase, right? And it makes us ask so many cool questions. The other things I've learned from living out of a suitcase is that stuff is not what makes a home. It's family. Like, I have found now, since we have moved out, we have been in an Airbnb in Qualicum. We were staying with my family for a week while I recovered from surgery and get help with the kids. We were in 2 Airbnbs, including the one we're in right now. So a total of 4 different homes since August 31st. And home is just where your family is, you know, like you don't need stuff to make it feel like home, because home is the experiences you have with the people you love most. And you know what? Yeah, I do miss having a place for all my stuff all the time. Like the bathrooms are not set up how I'd want maybe my skincare set up, for example, or I don't have maybe enough room to hang all my stuff and I have to fold more of my clothes. And there is a lot that I do miss. I miss my gym. Oh my gosh, I miss my gym. But like, having my stuff where I do miss that, but like, my gosh, I have realized that my happiness level has not changed at all in being in a large 2,800 square foot house versus being in this Airbnb right now, because it's so interesting. Like when you go to move into a place or you buy a home, you know, you look and you're like, oh, is this room big enough? Do I like how this bathroom looks? Do I like this paint color? But it's so interesting in the day to day, you really just notice those details you don't think about. Like you are just at home, you're doing your laundry, you're washing your dishes, you're having dinner with the family. And it's interesting how much the surroundings that you're in don't play as much of an impact as you thought. Now, I will say, not the Airbnb we're in right now, but the previous one was an underground basement and all of the windows were blocked by a deck. So it literally, I could not tell. There were days I didn't get out of bed till 10. And I'm not even joking. Part of this might have been because I was recovering, but like, I didn't know if it was rainy out, sunny out, daytime, nighttime. It was like living in a cave, and I did not love that Airbnb. So we're also learning a little bit about that. So that is something we have learned. Kids are so creative and good at imagination because they went from having a moderate amount of toys to very few. In this Airbnb now, some things we've brought along their play kitchen, and we brought along some coloring books and some pens and pencils. We go to the library and get books for them. But overall, they have been using their imagination to play. And I honestly think that being in Airbnbs has asked of them to do more with their minds because they don't have all the toys. They can't just get bored of a toy and switch over because we don't have a lot here. So they're playing hide and seek so often here now. They're working out with us in our little space. They are They're playing princess games. They're playing hide under the covers game. They're playing jump on the bed games. Like, it's really cool to see when you allow kids to be kids without all of the dings and the wings and the stimulatory input, how much they just really thrive as little humans. And you can see like, this is kind of how humans were meant to be, you know? And this whole experience really has been totally fine. One thing we did do though, because it's Christmas coming up and our kids are 2 and 4, and I love that holiday season. Hannah is obsessed with Halloween and Christmas, my oldest. So we did go to the storage locker. We got our Christmas tree and we set everything up. And so they totally get that experience. Like, we didn't miss out on the experience of Christmas and holidays. And there's a fireplace in the place we're in. So we're going to do the whole Santa thing. Like, I'm really excited for that. And we found little ways to make it work with what we need from the storage locker. So we have this system set up basically where we have a Google Note between my husband and I, and there is a section in there that says like, okay, here's all the things that need to go back to the locker that we have right now. And then we have a little checklist of things that we need to get out of the locker. So, twice per month we buzz over there and drop some stuff off, pick some stuff up, and then we have the stuff we need, right? Because you're always saying like, I really would like that jacket I haven't worn in a while, or maybe now it's time in Vancouver to get the snow gloves out. So we're constantly in and out of there. I think the only last thing really that has changed about our living, and thank God finally, is I signed up for a gym. I know we're only going to be here like a short amount of time, but I signed up for a gym. I have not had a gym membership since probably, it was 2020. 2020 was the last time we had a gym membership. Can you believe that? It was because COVID happened and I didn't want to wear a mask in a gym because that just sounded like torture trying to work out with a mask on. And then we built a whole home gym and I have not been in a gym, but now we are where we are. I did bring my dumbbells here. Haven't used them yet because I got a gym membership and it feels so good to be back in a gym. I feel like I'm home again. I get up, go there at 6 a.m, a couple days a week, come back. It's been such a gift to be able to give myself the gym membership. So a lot of our life has continued on as normal. Some parts have gotten better. Some parts have gotten a little more cramped. But I really enjoy it. I really enjoy this so far. I have no regrets so far. And we are not looking to rent a home right now. We're just not. It's not in the cards right now. Honestly, we may be even going... I think we've even talked about going up to 2 to 3 years without even considering a rental. So the future's really open right now, right? And considering like our rent at our old house was about $37,000 a year, to save that and to get to add that to travel, so fun, right? It just opens up so much possibilities for having that free. So that's kind of what we've learned by living out of a suitcase. What I kind of want to talk about next, the second area, is investing, kind of what our numbers are sitting at, different things we've learned about. Like I said, if you have been reading my Freedom Diaries blog, you will know that back in, I think the first entry is I started writing a series called the DeFi Report. DeFi stands for Decentralized Finance. I did just record an episode, I think it was episode 136 with Lucas Rubix. It was on the velocity of money. That was really when I was starting to get into this whole crypto space. Now, I will say, as I talk about crypto, here's what happens to 90% of people. That's dangerous. That's a scam. What's a course we're trying to sell? This is literally just for informational purposes, as is all the DeFi report that I write. And crypto is super high risk, so don't take this as an indicator to go into this. But if you want to read about the whole journey, I write a monthly series called the DeFi Report. It started as far back as August 6th. And it's what we learned from investing in having a mentor really show us the ropes of this, because one of my friends, like a friend of over 10 years, has a community that really supports investors in this crypto space. And we've known him for so long. And so I lent his trust in it because I was like, okay, I trust him, so I'll understand what he's doing. And now I'm sharing it with you guys. So basically we invested in a mentor to really help us get to the next level, because we had been doing crypto since March. We got back from Panama and we had no strategy, like at all. We knew what we're doing, but we had no strategy. And like, where was the money coming from? What were we using it to pay for, and all of that kind of stuff. So we really got to understand more of a flow of how that whole system works, because with our traditional portfolio, meaning the one that gives us our dividends every month, I understand that. We have got that down pat. But this is a whole new ball game. And so I'm one of those people, I pay for speed. because I don't want to waste my own time. And so we did pay a lot, but we have more. We have almost 4x'd our investment on that experience already. It's been so much fun. So there's two ways that we are earning money right now in the crypto space. And if you are brand new to crypto, I honestly think I bet you it'll be so common in the next 5 to 10 years with all that is happening in that space. And I used to be very scared of it, fearful. What is it? I don't know what it is. Is it like imaginary money? It's actually the coolest asset class, and it has the highest potential for growth I have been able to find. And here's the two ways we're making money in it. Number one is through something called liquidity pools. Now, liquidity pools, imagine this. You know, when you walk into your bank and you have, let's say, American dollars, and you walk into your bank and you give them American dollars and you say, hey, I want to convert this into Canadian dollars. And they'll give you Canadian dollars and they'll, charge you the exchange fee. But they will also charge you a percent on top of that as their fee. So I know the bank that I bank out of charges a 2.5% fee in order to make your currency exchanges. So not only as Canadians do we pay that massive Canadian to US currency exchange rate, but we pay a 2.5% fee. That fee makes banks wildly, wildly rich. In the crypto space, we are the bank. So what that means is I hold two different crypto tokens or coins. Let's just say, for example, I'm going to use two very common ones. I'll use Bitcoin and I'll use Ethereum. Let's say I hold both of those and you walk into me and you're like, hey, Tanessa, I've got Bitcoin, but I need some Ethereum. I'll be like, hey, sure, no problem. I will take some of your Bitcoin and give you some of my Ethereum. There you go. But the fees that you would normally pay to the bank for making a currency exchange, I get. Now, here's the part that will blow your mind. And it blew my mind. A conservative return in liquidity pools is 50 to 60% per year. We have pools right now, as I'm recording this, doing 150% per year return. You heard me, 150% per year return. And this is not like, oh yeah, I've been in it for a couple weeks. We've been in this since March. Like, we are doing pretty well with this. And it has been so much fun. I'm learning about it through, like I said, my friends' community. It has been something that is consistently helping us produce income. Now, the second way we make money in crypto is through what is called a buy and hold strategy. So right now, if you're into investing in finance at all, you may have noticed that if you have stocks or you have ETFs in the regular finance market, we're at all-time highs, consistently breaking all-time highs. Things are going very well right now. Well, that same thing is actually happening in the crypto space right now, except if a good day in the traditional finance space in your traditional stocks would be like a 2 or 3% gain. In crypto, we have assets that are going up 30% per day, 18% per day. Like, it is insane. So we are very early into what is called a bull run, where over time, your funds are going to trend upwards. There are obviously down days and up days, but it is going to trend upwards over time. And this cycle tends to repeat about every 4 years. Now, the reason we paid $12,000 to have someone fast track our experience is because through being in the community, we were told, hey, this is coming. This happens once every 4 years. And so we wanted to, instead of taking 6 months to figure it out, we wanted to take 3 months to be in position to take advantage of this the best we can. So we have loaded up what we call, think of like a bag of money. We have loaded it up with different cryptocurrencies, which we love the projects and what they do and everything like that. And the vision of the teams that create these cryptocurrencies. And what we are sitting at right now is the very front end of what's called the bull run, in which prices are going to go parabolic through the roof in the crypto space. And this is something that, if you actually understand charts and markets, is very cyclical. And what will happen is, towards the Q3, Q4 point of 2025, the markets are going to crash by 80 to 90%. And this is often why people get wrecked in crypto, is because they don't understand this. They buy all these coins and they're like, yay, I'm making all this money. And then, oh my God, I lost it all. Yes, that's because they didn't understand. They didn't have a very specific system in place for how to take profit from their investments. And so for us, not only do we now know the two ways we're making money, but we have a non-emotional, strategic-based plan for making money and taking profit, so that we will be sitting on a whole bag of cash that cannot fluctuate with the market because we're going to be taking it out of those investments and holding it as profit. And so that is the second way. So right now we have about 29,000 Canadian into the liquidity pool model. That's kind of like that exchange rate model. And currently we have put 80,000 into the bull run bag, or kind of like that buy and hold strategy. And so the cool thing is we have invested since March, mostly, to be honest, since we hired this consultant in, late July 31st, I think was our first day with them. And we put in 71,900 and our portfolio value is currently worth about 117,000. I think when I checked it this morning, we are up about $48,000, which I think if I remember looking, it's about 65% we have made on our money already since July 31st. And it blows my mind. Like, it is so cool. So not only do we have all of this unrealized income that we will be cashing out in as capital gains next year, but we are making anywhere between $2,200 a month and $2,900 a month in fees, or kind of the fees we get paid from doing those exchanges, like those liquidity pools I told you about, right? And so we're making income from that. We're going to be cashing out on our profit next year. Like, this is a way we've been able to increase the velocity with which we earn money. And we have been very invested. And like I said, if this is at all a little bit confusing or overwhelming at all, but you're interested in it, go to my blog, The Freedom Diaries, scroll back to like August 6th. It's the first one. It's called The DeFi Report. I walk through everything we have been doing. I show you numbers. I show you where we've been losing money, because I think the first report I did, we were actually down a bunch of money. And you're going to be able to see over the whole next year how we're making money with that. It's a very cool avenue that I have. It's not even like I'm interested in it. I'm a little obsessed. I think it's really interesting, right? And because we see the potential in this and how this is going to work for us, one thing Flynn and I have been talking about is the potential for considering relocating our residency in the future for tax purposes. Now, if we are going to be making a couple $100,000 a year in income through investments, what I do not want is to have to give away 50 to 53% of that in tax. Like, that just makes me sick, considering we're also going to be traveling 6 months a year, right? So one of the things Flynn and I have talked about is we've looked at other countries that are more of a tax havens. And what that would mean is if we put our residency to those countries, then we would not be paying taxes on that investment income, which means we would essentially be making 2x. And what we thought is, like, wouldn't it be fun if we could just literally pay for our families to come and live with us for a month or two at a time, and then we come back for Vancouver for a month or two at a time. And instead of doing 6 months where our residency is here in Canada and 6 months traveling, we would do 6 months of our residency in a different country and then travel back to Canada and around the world as well, saving potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the countries that we've kind of got on our short list so far, we're looking at Panama, Costa Rica, Portugal, Bahamas are definitely on there. And because of that, it's really been a lot to do with where we are going to be traveling over the next little year, right? So we've already done Panama. We've checked out Panama. We are going to be checking out Portugal in the fall, and then Costa Rica in the following winter. So just really kind of seeing which of these countries we might want to call home. Now, this isn't for sure yet. We're just kind of scouting it out. We're going to take it one step at a time. We're going to watch our income and everything like that. But this is something we're maybe looking at in like the 2027, 2028 timeframe. So this might just be something that's a dream for now, but we will see. We will see if I'd be able to have our family be in a different country from us. I don't know. It makes me sad to think about that. But if we can pay for them to come live with us, who knows, right? But we do have a goal, though, that we want our crypto portfolio to be worth $500,000 in 5 years from now. And given that it's already worth 116, I definitely think that is a possibility. And I think it would be really cool to end 2025 next year, having that crypto portfolio be worth 300,000, given that we started with 71. So we will see. If you want to know the exact numbers, go subscribe to the Freedom Diaries. But otherwise, I will report here every once in a while, right? And this is in addition to our traditional portfolio, which I think is important to know about. If you go back to the episode that I did in July, the financial independence update, or even episode 87, where I talked all about how we created this financial freedom life and how we invested to create cash flow and everything like that, you'll know a bit more about what I'm talking about. But we invest in funds that instead of growing to be worth X amount of dollars by the time we retire so that we can take it out and live on it, we do a different style of investing. And that style of investing relies on income. It's income focused. So what that means is we get a distribution for owning different stocks and funds like that. So for example, if we own a specific fund, like I'll just give you an example, not financial advice, but specific fund. It's called USCL.TO. It is a covered call leveraged version of the S&P 500. And what it means is that we do see some growth in the actual capital contributed to the fund, but we get about an 11 to 12% cash return every year into our pockets. And it is fantastic how much this can really add up. So as of the day of this recording, we're averaging $7,101 per month in dividend income out of this portfolio that we have. And the cool thing is our portfolio has still gone up in value. Plus we have gotten all of those dividends out. $7,101 a month is what we're at right now. So we are currently living off of, I would say, about $4,300 of those dividends every single month. The rest of it is reinvested. So it keeps growing. It keeps growing. It keeps growing, right? And especially because the dividends that we're choosing to compound back in so that it grows are in what's called a tax-free savings account in Canada. This basically means that all of the money we make, the dividends we receive in that account are tax-free. And this really helps with our tax bracket, right? So if you add in the 21 or the 7,100 we're making with that portfolio, the 2,900 we made last month in the crypto fees, we're at about $10,000 a month right now, which is really cool. And I was telling this to the group the other day, but like, if you look at our tax filings, it's really interesting. Flynn and I always joke that we're broke on paper because any income that we make through our business is through our corporation. And we actually keep the money in the corporation unless we need it. So we don't pay as much tax on it, right? We just pay the corporation tax. But we then live off of this investment income, which we are already taxed on, and we will take the income out of the corporation if and when we need it. So the other really interesting thing that I have found through doing this for a couple of years, and I can at least speak to Canada, is that investment income is taxed so much better than traditional income. So traditional income, like if you get from a job or you're self-employed, you are taxed on 100% of that income. If you invest, there are different types of income that you get as those distributions. If you're kind of following the style that we do, you can get capital gains, in which if you make 100,000 in capital gains, you're only taxed on 50,000 of it. So you're taxed on half of it, right? With dividends up to a point, they actually give you a tax credit here in Canada. And it also is dependent on what province you live in. Through our business, we actually take our income out as dividends because not only do we pay less tax on it, but we don't have to pay the Canadian pension plan and a lot of that other kind of stuff, which is really cool. So basically, all of the types of income we have flowing in are very, very, very tax efficient. And because of that, Flynn and I, we joke, we're broke on paper, meaning our net income is sub $50,000 a year on paper, because that is the actual taxable net amount of income, even though we gross much more than that. We're just not taxed on more than that because that's how it works with investments. And so the cool thing is depending on the tax bracket you're in and how smart and efficient you are with moving money around, we actually get checks from the government every month for about almost $1,500 for having kids because we fall into a certain income bracket. So you put all that together between the income from our portfolio and the crypto and the check we get from the government, we're sitting at about $11,400 a month before we even make a single dollar, which is just wild to me. I think it is so crazy that this life actually exists. And so remember, I'm not telling you this to be like, look what we're doing, but like, did you realize this was possible? Because we never did at the beginning. And it wasn't until someone showed us their portfolio and told us about it that we were like, holy hell. Like, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to not work or choose to not work or work because you love what you're doing and not because you need it to make income, right? So another goal we have right now is to get to that $15,000 a month in income. I'd love to be cash millionaires by the end of my 36th year, which would be next year, which would be really cool. Yeah, those are all really cool goals that we have coming up, and as well as like world schooling our kids and travel and all of that kind of fun stuff. So that's kind of what's going on the income side of things right now. Big things in there. Crypto's contributing a bunch. Our regular portfolio is up to $7,101 a month, and then we're getting the benefits because we've decided to do things in a very tax efficient way. Okay, last section is kind of what's going on with my business. So the business changes that have happened as a result of really leaning into this freedom style of life. So in about June or July, I started to finally let go of the reins on my business. And what I mean by that is in February of this year, I passed 10 years of running my business, 10 years of running a business, 8 of those being 6-figure plus years. And for me, I loved working with my clients. When I was a personal trainer, I loved that. When I was a weight loss coach, I loved that. When I was working with clients as a optimization performance consultant, I loved that. And I still do love that. But that is the part I love. I like writing the emails. I love doing this podcast, which is why you're still hearing it. But you know what I did not like? As much as I loved the people I met through it and I saw the results, the sales results because of it, I, as an introvert and as someone who, has dealt with anxiety, I didn't love the idea of having to send cold DMs all the time and like starting conversations. Like, I know that's what I had to do and it made my business work, but I didn't love it. And I'd open up my inbox at the start of a day and see 30 messages that I had to get to. And I would just get anxious sometimes and shut down. And like, it was not something I loved. But when you're kind of in that stage of running your business and you're just like, you know what, there's things I'm not going to love to do and that's okay. That's what I was in. And so I was, experimenting with running the Facebook ads, hiring the business coaches, putting the funnels in place, doing the DMs. Like that was my life and my reality. And I was okay with it because I wanted to grow the business. But when we really started accelerating our income, I was like, wait a second, I don't need the income from my business anymore. So why am I spending my time doing stuff that makes me feeling overwhelmed or anxiety? Like I have worked my ass off to get to the point where we have the option to not need that money. So I don't need to be filling my time with that stuff anymore. Right? And I've decided in about June that I was going to stop marketing my business. And this was terrifying. I had a lot of drama around it. I cried a lot around it. I beat myself up a lot about it. I shamed myself a lot. I called myself all kinds of names. I called myself a quitter. I called myself a failure, all of this kind of stuff, while my brain was like, no, Tanessa, it's okay. If you don't market and you don't make another dollar, you can really just enjoy your life. What would you do if you could just do for fun? What would you do? And so that's actually when I started the Freedom Diaries blog, because I was like, you know what? This will be fun. It has nothing to do with my business, but this is fun. And that's what I started doing in my life is you get to ask yourself when you create this freedom, like, what do you want to do for fun? What feels good? And so I stopped marketing my business, which is crazy because naturally 100% yes, sales went down, right? Because I'm not constantly pumping in new leads, new clients, new revenue. However, I have had people still seek me out because I have been around in this industry a long time and I still say yes to taking on clients, but I don't need to go and chase leads anymore. I still work with people I want to work with, I love working with. Right? And that people that want to show up because they're like, I need some help. I want to work with you specifically. Let's go. And so those are the type of people that I'm working with in my Becoming Limitless program with one-on-one and with my small group. But the nice thing is like, I get to just enjoy the fun part. And that is such a gift and a privilege that I have been given because of the freedom we have created by being so intentional with how we use our money. Right? And so this is cool. And the biggest aha moment I have had is this. For me, freedom is not about being able to work anywhere. So I find like on the internet, you see all these like laptop lifestyles, meaning like, oh, I'm on a beach in Mexico. Look at me. There's that's great. I'm glad that you can work from anywhere. I'm glad that you can pick up your computer and go to a sunnier place, a nicer place, be with family, whatever that is. I think that's amazing. But I think it is touted as freedom when I think I've redefined freedom for me. And freedom for me is not that I can work from anywhere in any place in the world, but that I have the choice to not work at all. Because let me tell you this, when I went to Panama in January, February, March of this year, I was still working 3 to 4 days a week. And there were days where I would sit down and do calls and group calls and client calls and podcast interviews. And while I loved that, I remember being able to look out the window and see my kids and my husband on the beach and being like, oh, I'm missing out on that. And it was weird because I loved my business and I love hanging out with it's this contrasting thing. But I didn't get to choose it necessarily. As much as I'm choosing to have my business, I didn't get to choose that. And so for me, the option to not work at all has been the true definition of freedom, because I can say yes to whatever I want, no to whatever I want, go where I want, with who I want. And this is a new level of freedom I have unlocked. Like, I don't need to worry about going through different time zones and all the times not work, because it's allowed to not work now. And it's really cool, right? And so here's what I've been spending my time doing since stepping out of the business. I'm in there probably, I would say definitely 1 day a week, sometimes 2 days a week. And if it's a second day a week, it's usually only 2 hours. I'm working, I would say 6 to 8 hours a week right now. I want to drop down to 1 day a week because I still love to work and I still love what I do. But heading into this next season of travel, I don't want to do the 4 days a week anymore. I want the option to not work. I want that, right? And if I choose it, that's fine. If I don't choose it, that's fine. But here's a little bit about what I've been spending my time doing. I've been spending my time, obviously, up to my elbows in all things crypto. I am probably plugged into understanding market movements, technical analysis, different plays that I could make, strategies. I'm plugged into that. I would say probably 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. It's an obsession. Like I tell you, it's just so interesting. I'm learning Spanish. Today, I'm celebrating my 30-day streak on Duolingo. I am actually decent at Spanish. And I really enjoy it. I mean, it's cool because I see a lot of French in there. I took French all the way up till grade 12. I see a lot of French in there. And my husband speaks Tagalog, and Tagalog, there are many vocab word overlaps between Tagalog and Spanish. So it's kind of cool. And given that we're going to be going to Spain, we're coming up on Dominican, we've got Costa Rica, like this is a language that I really want to know, especially since some of the cities that we've been looking at potentially moving our residency to would, our whole experience would be a lot better if we knew the language Spanish, right? So I'm doing that. I'm working out again, especially since I've been cleared to go back after surgery. I'm loving my time at the gym right now. I'm going on lots of walks with the kids. And one of our big things is every time we get to a new Airbnb, we get to explore a new neighborhood. It's all new walking paths, walking trails, playgrounds. Oh, there's so much to see. Spending a lot of time with family. One of my kids is in swimming lessons right now. Trip planning. Obviously, we always have vacations and trips to be planning, and our to-do list for that is ever ongoing. And just honestly, doing a lot of nothing sometimes and being okay with that and not feeling guilt around that, right? So that's what I'm spending a lot of the time doing right now. But I also think I want to be transparent just as I wrap this up on things that I am struggling with, because I don't want it to make it seem like I am without problems, or this is without negativity or negative emotion, or it's all been a positive experience, because I think that would be inaccurate. So I wrote down some of the things that I think I'm struggling with right now, because I think we put the end point or the vision or the goal on a pedestal. And like when I get there, then life will finally feel so good and I can finally feel this way or finally feel that way. But if you've listened to any of my episodes at all, you will know that I believe that we are in control of how we feel and the reality we create and how we view our circumstances. And so I also believe that life is 50-50 and we never truly get to escape negative emotion. And so don't think that just because I have the option not to work that I don't still experience anxiety, that I don't still cry and sometimes miss home base, right? Honestly, one of the biggest things I struggle with now is feeling like I'm not making the best use of my time. And I know that is a sentence, a story in my head, but it is loud. I have all this time available now, and I should be more present with my kids. I should be working out more. The house should be cleaner. I should be responding to emails faster. Like my brain is really struggling with this new paradigm of full choice, because before it's like I had choice to work in my business, but at the same time I needed the income. So I had to show up. But now that I don't have to, I've created space. Like my brain is like, well, shouldn't you be doing something of higher value with this time? Like, shouldn't you be learning how to paint or always be learning Spanish or something, so my brain is struggling with that, I will say, even though I wouldn't call us lazy by any means, but that is definitely a word my brain has offered up. But overall, I will say I am at a place of contentment right now. I wouldn't say it's like joy and everything and like overflow and abundance. Like I haven't got there yet, but I am very content. Right now, life is slow and I love it. Like our calendar is full of white space and it is extremely spacious. And we wake up every day and are like, what do you want to do today? And it's literally a blank canvas. And sometimes it's take the kids to the local Strong Start program. Sometimes we go swimming. Sometimes we go on a family walk. Sometimes we watch 3 movies in a day. And the house is a disaster. And sometimes I spend the whole day cleaning. And sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes I go to the gym. And it's beautiful, I will say. And I love this slowness and this contentness I feel, I think, for the first time in my life. And it is grounded a little bit in certainty for the first time and safety. And that there's not this, will we make the bills feeling. It's cool. Even though my brain still likes to tell me there's not enough. I've just decided my brain will always try to tell me it's not enough. But I don't have to accept that anymore. That's one thing I've learned. One other thing I think that Flynn and I constantly are talking about that, I don't know if struggle is the right word, what we're struggling with, but this comfort that we have in our life, this cushion, let's call it, it breeds complacency for us. What I mean by that is, like, if you would have spoken to me 3 years ago, I would have been the most highly productive go-getter. I think I referenced this on another podcast, but I remember going back through a group that I joined when my coaching business really started to take off. It was like 2017 or 2018, the online side of my coaching business. And I remember reading a post that I had put up, and I honestly didn't even recognize myself with it. And it was something along the lines of like, I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning and got 90 minutes of work in before the baby even woke up. And I've done that 5 mornings this week. I also worked through every one of her naps, and my mom took her 2 days a week and I worked straight through on those days. And I remember just seeing this version of me that was like, motivated, lit up, on fire, highly productive, like on the top of her game. And that is just, I've decided, another version of me. And it was a season that I was in. Now I am in the season where we have the financial support, but I'm also a mom and I've got a 2 and a 4-year-old. And if you have kids, you know that it can be tiring, right? Especially if there's, weeks where there's a lot more arguments or there's crying or there's meltdowns. Or my 2-year-old right now, she's a funny one. She decided to self-potty train. Like, actually just decided her older sister's using the toilet, her mom's using the toilet, her dad's using the toilet, she's going to use the toilet. And we love that. And that is great. Except now she's waking up in the middle of the night to come tell us she needs to use the toilet. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because we're like, yay, but like, my gosh, our sleep is being broken up. So we're in that season of, I've got young kids. I don't want to miss another minute with them, because I don't like to have regrets. One of the things I wish I would have done differently is taken more time off postpartum. With my first, I took 2 weeks postpartum off, and I think it was 4 weeks with my second, but that was because I was obsessed with my business at the time, and that was who I identified with, and I loved those choices at that time. But I think I'm a different person now, and I really appreciate my kids as little as they are. They're never going to be this little again, right? I'm never going to be this young as a mom again. And I'm in the season right now where I want slow, and I want time, and I don't want to hustle, and I don't want to work hard right now. I just want to live and experience the life that I have worked my ass off for 10 years building this business. And now I just feel like I'm finally getting to reap some of that reward. So the comfort that we have has built the complacency that we have, meaning I'm like, I don't feel that motivated to go out. Like, I don't want to do the marketing. I don't want to do this. But Flynn and I talk about all the time that there is going to come a point where this will get boring. Right now it's not. It's still pretty new, but it'll get boring. And I'm going to want to lean back into business again. And I know that's who I am. And I can see when the kids are maybe 6 and 8 and we've done the travel thing for a while. It's not new. Maybe we've settled into a rhythm. The kids don't need me as much anymore. They're still very young. They still need me. Maybe that's the time that I lean in and start a new business or pick up an old business. Like, it's open. And so I'm trying not to be hard on myself at this time in this season, but I know I'm ready to coast a little bit. And I know that is a privilege that I get to say that. I am very aware of that. But I also think I'm wanting to point out that it's not all joy and roses on this side, that I struggle. It's different things. It's different conversations, but there's still all that negativity in there. So here's what's up next in our life right now. Obviously, we're working on the financial goals, but in 3 weeks from the date that this airs, 3 weeks, we're going to the Dominican Republic. We will be there for 13 weeks. We're going to be staying in 3 different cities as we tour the country and live like locals. We're not doing resorts. We're just living like locals amongst the community. I'm going to spend a bunch of time on the beach. I'm going to get a bunch of vitamin D, hopefully skip the snow in Vancouver. That's the plan. Once we come back in mid-April, we are going to be kicking around. We've already booked our Airbnb. We're going to be kicking around in actually really close to our old house all the way until July. And then in July, we don't know. We might road trip. We might road trip through the Rockies, the Canadian Rockies, over to Alberta. We might stop in Kelowna. Depending on what's going on, we may even fly out to Quebec City. We're trying to leave our options open for that. But September to November, we are going to be, I think at this point, Portugal and Spain. And like I alluded to earlier, January 2025, we're tentatively scheduled in Costa Rica. So gone for 6 months, here for 6 months, gone for 6 months, here for 6 months, but all broken up. That's kind of what the plan is looking right now. So that's why we don't really see a point in renting, right? Because why would I rent now and then leave for 3 months and then double pay? And then when I get back, why would I rent and then leave again in 3 months and pay for rent and travel, right? It just makes more sense to grab an Airbnb. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And we're just going to see where the road takes us. It's an open road in front of us right now, but this has been the December 2024 year wrap-up financial independent update. Remember, those biggest resources for you are the Freedom Diaries blog, TanessaShears.substack.com. If you want to sign up for that, it's free. It's free. That's all it is. And of course, that workshop that we are hosting on December 29th, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. It's all about building your financial freedom engine. We're going to be going through different ways we've done it, different ways we've seen it done, how to get your vision set up so that you know exactly where you're going, what you're going to do. It's not a New Year's goal setting workshop. This is literally going to build the engine for freedom. So if there is anything in this episode or the life that we've created that, and even one little thing, even if you want to do it totally different, but one little thing speaks to you and you're like, that would be really cool to still love my work, but not have to be pressured to have an income. Or I could let go of the marketing tasks I hate, or I could travel a whole month of the year, or we could do X, Y, and Z. I highly invite you to come to there. And remember, if you want to join, find me on Instagram at Tanessa Shears. Send me a DM with your email and I will add you to the Slack channel where all the information is. Otherwise, you can email me at Tanessa@TanessaShears.com and tell me you want in. I'll just add you to the Slack channel. No funnels, no upsells, no courses, nothing. It's just a for fun community to, bond with like-minded people. We want some friends that want to talk numbers and money and freedom because honestly, nobody wants to talk with it about us anymore, but maybe you, because you're listening and you're my kind of people. And really, I think you should be in the community. But, all right. I did that entire episode in one take. And now I've got to jump on to our group call in the Becoming Limitless program. If you're interested in that as well, just head to my website. Links are all in the descriptions. I am taking new clients, but you won't see me advertising for it because I'm not in my marketing season. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been fun or entertaining at least. And I hope you have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Hey, if you love listening to this podcast, then you have to come check out my coaching program, Becoming Limitless. Together, we'll build a sustainable system for your health that is based in science and data that fits seamlessly into your busy schedule. Join me over at TanessaShears.com/becoming limitless. I'll see you there.